Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, how you doing here, folks? Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is the bro in the house, Brody Alfonso, tuning in on the best darn morning Magic the Gathering show in the world. Happy to be here, folks. It's Thursday. And what's the busiest day of the week for a chiropractor? Throwback Thursday. That's right. If you're looking to keep the dreams alive this week, just hit the snooze button. If not, get up early in the morning and join me where we discuss the prices of Magic cards, just in case you don't want to do it. There's too much information out there in the world of Magic the Gathering. You can let me do it for you. I'm checking the prices each and every day here on the morning show, bringing you a little bit of fun, stocks, talks, and this morning, a couple of AI generated Magic cards. The weekend's approaching a little bit. Morning, Murray. How you doing, buddy? I hope you're having a good morning. It's going to be a little bit chilly out there. I'm going to have to bundle up as usual. Got the old longer johners on her. That's right. They go on and they don't come off. I'm afraid. Nice to see you here this morning. How you doing? I'm going to take a look at the release schedule for 2024. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scheduled sets to come out this year, but that does not include the secret layer. So the quarter one, we've got Ravnica Remastered and the Murders at Karlov Manor. Quarter two, we've got Universe Beyond MTG Fallout and Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I don't know what these titles are in reference to. The last three: the Murders at Karlov Manor, the Universes Beyond MTG Fallout, and then the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Then we've got Modern Horizons 3 coming out at halfway through the year. That's around June, I guess. And then Assassin's Creed. I know what that is. So July 2024, we're getting an Assassin's Creed set, which seems kind of interesting. And then Bloomburrow shortly after that in quarter three 2024, also followed up by Duskmorn House of Horror, quarter four 2024. So that's the release schedule this year. 8 sets. Can I count this morning? 8 sets this morning for us to choke on. Not working. Too cold. Oh. We'll take the day off with pay. Tell him Brody Alfonso said it was okay. You can take the day off with pay and give it a go tomorrow. Well, let's are you planning on playing some cards this weekend? I hope so. We'll see what gives on Saturday. I hope to make it there and hope to see you there too. I get a little cup of coffee here this morning. It's good. It's good. I gotta be working indoors, but man, I found going just from like indoors to outdoors and back to indoors again, it's almost worse. Well, it's pretty bad. It's pretty chilly. I thought winter might be canceled there for a short minute, but alas, it's not. It's here in full effect. Full force, full effect here. Could be a little bit busy day out in the world of Magic the Gathering today. Let's start off this morning doing one of my favorite things. Let's take a look at some AI generated Magic cards. I like doing that. It's a good way to start off this morning. Let's warm up with some AI generated Magic cards. I'll just go over the rules with you here, folks. For those of you tuning in and those of you tuning in for the first time, if the card is playable any way whatsoever, we'll give it a pass. If it's functionally correct, if it works, even if it's a little overpowered or underpowered, if it's got playability to the card, if it makes sense, it looks like a magic card, smells like a magic card, tastes like a magic card, you're going to hear this sound. It's the ding-a-linga. All right. But if the card is got any gibberish on it whatsoever, meaning text doesn't make sense, got a bunch of gobbledygook on there, missing the casting cost, got some made up mechanics. If it doesn't work, can't play it. If it's not playable, if it's got any gibberish on the card, we're going to fail it. You'll hear this sound. The sound of the buzzing, cousin. All right. Other than that, let's get right into it here this morning to take a look at this first one here today. Appreciate you tuning in here this morning, Murray. Trying to get a raft deck up in power for CEDH this Saturday. Nice. Oh, a rat deck or a raft deck? Raffine. Going with the Raffine? Raff? That'd be sweet. Gonna shift up in power lever. I just have the one deck so far, so I don't have a lot of choices. But if you want to come over and brew sometime, if you get some time off, you're more than welcome to. Let's take a look here at this card. It's one of the fun things to do, right? When the weather outside is frightful, we can always play Magic till nightfall. All right. What did the executioner say on Thursday morning? It's time to be headed to work. This is what we got here. Guardian Nina Brelishan. Yeah, Shun. Tion, Brody. Shun. Guardian Nina Brelishan. All right. Got a 1 blue and 1 for a 1/1. Inquisitor. I like the art. Is that money? Is he throwing money? He dropped his purse? Perhaps. No, 1/1 for a 1 blue and 1. Krakens you control enter the battlefield as a commander type without paying Guardian Nina Brelishan. I think we gotta fail this one. It looks. Hey, Gaming Bob's here. We're gonna take a look at Raf Capison. In the Azorius deck, the most powerful one you have. It's not CDH, no combo in there, but hope to at least be annoying enough to be relevant in a game. Sean does a really good job of mixing up his decks on Saturday night, so he may play a version of the same deck each and every week, so you keeps you on your toes and you always wonder what he's up to. Yo, bro, MTG Gaming Bob, nice to see you. How does NASA organize a party on a Thursday night? They plan it. Good to see you here. All right, this one here, what do you think of the Guardian Ninja Brelishan? I think I gotta fail it. Krakens you control enter the battlefield as a commander type without paying Guardian Ninja Brelishan? I gotta fail that one. It's not 2. This can't be real. Can't be real. Fail, right? Double buzzer. What about this swamp? I do like the lands. There was a series of these lands. I like the one that came up yesterday. It was really sweet. I think it was an island that we got to see. It was nice. Very pretty land. The swamp with a little bit of red background. What do they say? Red sky at night, sailors delight. Or maybe it's red sky at night, Turkish delight. Red sky in the morning. Brody, take warning. How can you fail any Nalabrellishan cards? They're amazing. Right? Something to do. Because it's something to do, Bob. I'm so happy to see you. Nice to chat with you here this morning. Cold outside. The weather is frightful. Did you guys know there was a Bitcoin ETF that was approved? I believe it was approved yesterday. You can see it on my feed. I believe there was a Bitcoin ETF that was approved. So you're going to hear some chatter in the world of finance with regards to Bitcoin. And I bet you're going to see that sucker rally here for the next little bit. But nevertheless, let's pass this swamp. I like it. I could go for a swamp like this. I could really go for a dip in the swamp, just like this one. Some Nalabrellishan cards. Murray says, dang, that's a sweet land. I'm not sure how Wizards can resist the temptation to just have AI make the cards. I know. It's going to take, I guess a couple of, one artist quit anyway. Keeping the human factor in the game. These are all AI generated, and some of them are getting quite good. If you remember last year when we were doing this, I noticed that there was a lot of mumbly jumbly, a lot of gibberish on cards, and we failed a lot of cards just based on the fact that they didn't work or the mechanics weren't good. And I think putting that input into the card ranker is starting to pay off because a lot of the cards we're getting have less gibberish. They're actually functional. So it's come a long way. Neat card. Let me ask you something. When it comes to Wizard, are you a pointy hat guy or a cloak guy? What do you like? Do you like the pointy hat on your Wizards? Or do you prefer the cloak? Let's see. Do you... Hmm. All right, let's post that in the chat here. What do you guys prefer? How do you guys prefer your Wizards? Do you prefer them with a pointy hat like this guy, or do you prefer them with a cloak? Who's your guest tomorrow? You got a special guest tomorrow, Bob. Let's talk about that. We got some viewers in the chat. What's going on tomorrow? Let's read this card here. Rebirth. It's a land. I like to see the land. The art is really nice. It's got the pointy hat wizard on there. So you guys let me know. Would you rather, do you like your wizards in a cloak? Or do you prefer them with the pointy hat? At the beginning of each opponent's sorry. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you manifend the game into their graveyard. Darn it! Ah. Does anybody know how to manifend? We do. Mr. Llama SC will be joining us. Pretty big YouTuber for Diablo 2. Oh, nice. And can you put your link to your channel in the chat? I could do it. But if you guys are Diablo fans, that will be very interesting. All right. I think the rebirth has got to go. What do you guys like? You like your wizards with a pointy hat like this one? I think we got to fail it. Too bad. I was hoping that it would have some spice to it. I could use rebirth on a card. Let's see here. Mr. Llama SC. What time? I'll have to check it out. How do you evaluate Rebirth, I think, is non-functional. Ce n'est pas fonctionnable. Ce ne fonctionne pas. I know it's a land too. I like to see the lands. I like this one. What do we got here? This reminds me of almost like some older. It's got the older blue border. This reminds me of like some Mirage type art, very watered out art. I like the look at this. This enchantment. The enchant from the question mark block. What is this one? Botus? Botus. The Botus Flarl Runny. Am I reading that right? Flarl Runny? Flarl Runny? Brodus Flarl Runny. Don't you hate that when you're in the middle of the day and you get a case of the Flarl Runnies? Yes. Well, Botus Flarl Runny. It looks like he's burning some books here. Oh no, he's got an orb. This is a really cool art. He's writing something down. He's got a glowing fiery orb there. It looks pretty cool. The enchant says, look, oh, it costs you two colorless and a blue, right? Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn, and you gain 4 life. The sad thing about this is it should be a sorcery or an instant, not an enchant. Kind of too bad. If it was an instant or sorcery, it would make a lot more sense, because how many times do you do that? Just once? Only when it comes into play? I think I'm going to fail it. Well, what do you guys want to do to this one? Capacit could fail it. It seems like something that would be more on a spell that just resolves one time. Or if it said something like each during your turn or each and every turn. It's also mid-journey, right? Pass it? All right, let's give it a pass. Murray says pass it. Pass the cabbage over here so I can buy me a copy of Botus Floral Runny. Try saying floral runny 10 times fast. All right, we got to vote on it. We're going to go fair. Give it a fair. Some people say OP. Most people say OP. Look at the top 5. Target creature gets -2/-2, and you gain 4 life. Just look at the top 5. You don't get to reorder them. Not like you get to put 5 cards into your hand or go 5 deep and put some on the bottom. Oh, thank you, Gaming Bob. For those of you just tuning in, check out Gaming Bob's channel here. He's got a link in the comment section in the chat. You can put one in the description in the after show. So that'll be all right. I got a buddy named Nick. I should send him a copy of this card here. Ask him what he's up to today, how far he's got, because this card, Nick Wanderer, is a 3/2 flying Eldrazi. I thought it was a mouse. If I could have picked any creature type for this to be, I would have said it was a mouse. Flying. When Nick Wanderer dies, you may discover 3. Oh, that seems all right. A white and 3 for this one. Looking at the top 5 as a cost. Basically costs 0 to activate. Oh, okay. Oh, that's the activation cost? It is. Oh, I missed that. Let's just back up to the floral running here for a second. Yes, I missed that, Murray. Thank you. Okay, because it's got the colon right here, right? It's got the colon. And you know, when you get a case of the floral runnies, you got to take a look at the colon, because that's the activation cost. Those darn floral runnies. So the activation cost on this one is, look at the top 5 cards here. Okay, now that's OP. I think I want to change my answer. I missed that. Can I change my answer? Can't change my answer. Okay, that's crazy. Yes, it's infinite. You just look at the top 5, and then something gets -2/-2, and you gain 4, and then you look again, and then you look, and then you look, and then you look. The card is bad. We want to pass the mouse. I thought this was a mouse. I would rather see this Nick the Mouse Wanderer. Eldrazi, it is bad. When it dies, you discover 3. You get a 3/2 flyer for 1 white and 3. Bob says give it a pass, but the card is bad. It's really bad. It's no goo. It's no bueno. No está bueno. What do cows do on a Thursday night? They go to the movie. That's right. Let's fail this card. You give it a case of the buzzing, cousin. Get it out of here. All right. Nick the Wanderer, he's gonna have to wander off the stage here this morning. Let's get Nick out of here. Oh, here's where we left off yesterday. This card, the island card. This is AI generated art. Yeah, no wonder it's an option on the table. I mean, even for people making proxies, this seems really good. You don't know what Discover does? Well, as far as I know, it's a better version of Cascade. It's like Cascade, but if you whiff, you get to put the card in your hand. I think that's how it goes. So, like with Cascade, if you whiffed off the Cascade, you'd go, Cascade 6 or Cascade 7. So then you'd look at the top, so many cards in your library, and then if you whiffed on it, too bad, so sad. I guess with Discover, if you whiff, you get to put something into your hand. That meets a condition. I believe that's how the Discover works. Let's discover together here on the morning show. Pointy hat, cloak. All right. I like this island. It looks pretty great. The sun beaming down. I got to give this a pass. Oh, there's even palm trees on there. Nice looking card. Pretty looking one, eh?
Buy low, sell high, that's my motto. I may just quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy.
That's right. Full time at the stock desk this morning. For you folks joining us here today, got an article to read for you folks in your Magic the Gathering news. It's one of my favorite times of the morning. I get to read a news article with you folks. Appreciate you folks for tuning in. I got the set up here this morning. Sideboard pickups for Modern in 2024. I'm playing Modern, but I'm playing an old recycled food deck, something that isn't going to cost me a lot of money to keep working on and keep playing. The only thing I really care about of that deck is that it doesn't lose to burn, because that just sucks, losing to burn. So let's take a look at this article here today by Corey Williams. Corey is an accomplished writer, one of the best over at the stock desk. He's put this article together for us today for those of you folks who are interested in Modern. I'm excited to read it. We had a good article from Harvey yesterday, but let's see what Corey's got to recommend to us for Modern Sideboards 2024. Everybody who's just joining us, we're talking Magic Stocks, Magic Talks in the world of finance today. We got one little piece of financial news. This is something you're going to see out there. I know I told you my New Year's resolution for 2024 was to buy Bitcoin in 2011. We're going to hear some news about the Bitcoin because an ETF was just announced yesterday. I think they're going to start trading it. So look for that on your radar. If you see news about Bitcoin, that is why. But nevertheless, let's get into this article from Corey Williams here this morning. Talking finance, talking World of Magic cards. Take it a look. I recommend you folks do this.
Buy low, sell high, that's my motto. I may just quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy.
Well, if I can't quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy, I can keep my job and become a full-time MTG talks and stocks guy. That seems like a worthwhile accomplishment. But we're talking sideboard in 2024 for modern. There's been a couple of cards that have been spiking up and trending in price. We're going to cover those here this morning with Corey. Hello and Happy New Year. With all the new year upon us, we'll use this issue of Modern Times to reflect and inspect some of the quieter pickups of Magic the Gathering musings in modern format. While the main boards of many decks in the meta have changed, some sideboard pieces have quietly been moving or are positioned to do so. Without further ado, let's jump right into this one here. We have heard about the cursed totem a couple of times since the new year. It's making waves in modern because of the Yawgmoth or the Gix deck shutting off the creature activations. It's a card from the Mirage block in its original printing, and it's quite good. It's like the Null Rod for creature abilities, right? It says players cannot activate any creature abilities requiring an activation cost. So the Curse Totem, an EDH a CEDH staple? All right, well, you want a CEDH card? There's one for you, Murray. Curse Totem has only recently seen the light of day in Modern because of printing of Modern Horizons 2. Prior to this printing, there's a cozy reprint in Classic 6th edition, about the only thing cozy in that set. And of course, it's original printing in Mirage. Naturally, it's easy to see the appeal of the Cursed Totem in CEDH as it shuts down a myriad and a plethora and a montage and a coup of myriad format staple, including some of the best commanders in the format, such as Thrasios, Najeela, Kenrith, and Kinnan. Kinnan's really darn good. This guy, ugly, but good. All right. And many, many, many others. So these commanders are very popular, especially in CEDH, and they do have activation costs on them. So the 2-mana Curse Totem is something that can shut off your opponent's commander. Now you got my head scratching. I think I'm going to throw the Curse Totem in my deck. I'm playing artifacts. None of my commanders have an activated ability on them, so I don't know if that's going to be such a downside to me. I do want to ask the question. Well, let's read the Cursed Totem here before we get any farther. So I had a question about the Cursed Totem. So it says players cannot play any creature abilities requiring an activation cost. So does just simply tapping it count? I tend to think it does. Or does it have to have mana in it? Or an activation cost, like discarding a card or paying 3 life? Does tapping count? I think it does. Help me out here on this one, Bob. I'm pretty sure you know. I could look at the errata version on the Gatherer. Let's look this card up on the Gatherer because I want to make sure I know how it works. Gatherer, Curse Totem, curses. Yeah, that it does nerf it. Okay, I'm seeing Bitcoin ATMs around now. Yes, you will start to see Bitcoin ATMs starting to get a little more popular. So activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. Look at the new wording on this card. Did it get a Modern Horizons 2 reprint? It did. It's got the totem in like a little bottle or something. A bottle of totem. Bottle of beer. And then the old wording says creature or player creatures cannot play any player activations. No, players cannot play any creature activate. With the appeal in modern these days, what's the appeal with this card? Well, in a format without Fury, that's not an activation cost, that's a triggered cost. Creatures have much more maneuverability across various archetypes than they did before. Among the prior archetypes in modern, both Hardened Scales, Golgari, Yawgmoth depend on the activated abilities of their key creatures, notably the Walking Ballista. That's the one that Pinger, pay 4, put a counter on it, and then remove a 1/1 and do a damage. And then the Thran Physician. We've been hearing a lot of talk about the Physician from Thran, the Yawgmoth. The 2/4, discard a card, proliferate. So this activation is, I guess, is the one that gets out of hand. And then the pay 1 life, sack another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature and draw a card. So it gives you a sack outlet. It's got protection from human, and it's got 2 upside activations on it. So very powerful card. Folks, at least locally, use Yawgmoth as the boogeyman of the format. As well, Pilot Good Golgari Yawgmoth deck can run the table and win in a moment's notice. See Zen's benchmark build here. Ooh, for weary players at top tables, Curse Totem is the best post board option. Well, Yawgmoth. I want to take a look at this here. Deck list. Okay. So apparently this guy can win at a moment's notice. Cool. We get to look at the. Thanks for putting this up here there, Corey Williams. Very nice to see. We've got a deck list here for you folks over at Chanel Fear Ball. Includes the Blood Artist. All right. Blood Artist is one that procs every time something hits the bin. Whenever another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. So I think this is like the death trigger. I wouldn't be surprised if it was also playing the Cutthroat, the Zulaport, Delighted Halfling. Add a mana of any color. Use it to spend on legendary spells. Okay. The Harfling, Dryad Arbor, the Tree Land, Fulminator Mage. You sack this and you destroy a non-basic. Okay, that's pretty good tech there. Actually, now that I think about it, Fulminator Mage would be pretty good in Grixis. Yeah, it's land destruction option. And if you can get them back, you can do it again. Hypatra, the Vizier of Poisons, Ignoble Hierarch, the Bowmeister, Sheoldred, the Menacing Apocalypse, Scandalroot Geist, the 2/1 with Undying, Wall of Roots. There's the Yawgmoth and the Young Wolf. All right. Shout out to Riley over at Table Games. So the Cursed Totem, I'll put a link to this deck list in the chat here for you folks. And then we're going to carry on. There's this beauty of an article here by Corey Williams. Link to the deck list in the chat here this morning, folks. Let's look at this. The original Cursed Totem. Original Mirage Cursed Totem has now jumped exponentially from $4 at the beginning of December to $40. Currently, a tenfold increase. I suppose that's the premium for an original from form over function, if you will. That being said, the Modern Horizons 2 version of the totem has climbed from about $1 to $5 over the past month. It seems to be flattening, suggesting that perhaps it could stagnate or even fail just a little bit. Unless you have an RCQ right around the corner on your schedule, it might be worth waiting a spell to see if Totem's price levels out. I like the original art. Seems good. When I first got into EDH, this was a card that I went to because I didn't know what other people were playing, and I was like, just play stacks pieces. Got a cup of coffee here this morning. How about that? So, piece of sideboard tech for 2024 coming to you from Corey. We got the Curse Totem. How about Magus of the Moon? That's right. That's the Moon Boy, the Blood Moon on a stick, the 2/2 that's got the Blood Moon on him. All right. All right. Remember the good old days of 8 Moon in Modern? Neither do I. Why? Because the Spirit Guides seem to get the banhammer because the rest of the dream of consistent turn 2 Blood Moon had to be a nightmare. If you want to keep the dream alive, don't forget to hit the snooze button on Simeon's Spirit Guide. That being said, Blood Moon still remains an appealing relic of 8th and 9th edition. Lone white border aesthetics in the format. So where has Blood Moon gone? Last I checked, Mono Green Tron and Amulet Titan are still around in the format. And not only that, decklists like Teamer Rhinos and Living End just by mainboarding Blood Moon. So they felt so inclined to include it. So why is Blood Moon feeling antiquated? Simple. Beside you, who endures. Enduring, this is the channel land? That's right. Very hard to interact with the channel land. I told somebody, I was running Auto Wire, I told him, I'm going to remove your creature. And he says, you could try. I'm holding a counter spell or two. And then you just discard this card channeling. It's not a spell. It's really hard to interact with, right? Not a lot of interaction you can make for channeling or discarding a card. This one destroys an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. Force of Vigor gets you 2 targets if you pitch a green card and it's not your turn. And then the Collected Company, Coco, that's the one that's green and 3. And then you get to look at the top 6 and get some creature cards right onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in any order. So besides you, Force of Vigor, free and chat room removal is running rampant across the format with Bosaju, however you say it, being a main board staple in Amulet Titan, and many of other builds that would be less than happy to see a Blood Moon are running these sideboard cards. So that brings us to Blood Moon's cousin, Magus of the Moon. All right. Hey, Coach, nice to see you here this morning. Good morning, Brody and Alec. Did you guys catch the news? I thought everybody heard of the Hasbro Hunger Games, but apparently not everybody has heard of it. I hope you guys enjoy the show here today. Nice to have you with us, Coach. All right, we're talking about Blood Moon's cousin, Magus of the Moon. Part of the Magus cycle of creatures. From planar chaos, Magus of the Moon is really the only one worth considering in modern play. Although I do have a soft spot for the Magis of the Tabernacle, Magus of the Candelabra, and Magus does Force of Vigor and Beside You. Can be easily accessed with the likes of Collected Company and Court of Calling, and reanimated with Unearth. And without Fury running rampant around to send Magus to the graveyard, there's a lot of opponents for him to become a sideboard staple in the format, much like Blood Moon was prior to Modern Horizons 2. Well, Magis de la Moon. Magus, giving you the moon here this morning. Keep your pants on, Magus. Nobody wants to see that. But he is a 2/2 beater, if that matters. It is actually a clock. So this thing can do damage. If you got a stagnant board on in front of you, this thing can swing at the opponent for 2 damage. So it's got a bit of an upside. A little easier to remove because it is a creature, and creature removal matters. So the Magis of the Moon, for the past few months or so, Magus has been sliding down somewhat in price and currently sits at $10, although it appears to be stabilizing a little bit. Difficult to gauge whether its stabilization is a true bottoming out or it's simply an equilibrium price. Everything in equilibrium. All right. Although it appears to be stabilizing, it's difficult to gauge whether the stabilization is true and becoming a bottomed out or simply its equilibrium price. However, I venture to guess that the Magus has a significant upward potential and that we're seeing is more of a bottom out leading to a gradual upward swing in price. And in essence, I think we're seeing the pendulum swing as it's the very bottom for this motion. So if you need a couple of these in your sideboard, now is the optimal time to drop the $20 bill. $20 for Magus of the Moon. $20 Magus. Can I get a 3? Can I get a 4? Can I get a $5 matter? Can I get it in here for $20? Perhaps. It's also played in your legacy, right? You can play it in the mono red deck. You can play it in Painter Servant. It's got multiple uses, not just in modern. I'd like to mention it is a staple in the Painter Servant combo deck legacy. But don't forget.
Buy low, sell high, that's my motto. I may just quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy.
Dress down. All right, have you got dressed this morning? Go, Brody is dressed. The show is the best. But don't stress, we've got a little bit of the rest of these sideboard staples for you folks here this morning. All right? How do you make time go fast on a Thursday? You just throw a clock. This card is $1.50. All right. And if you want to ask, if you want my opinion, a card like Born Upon a Wind is also in about the same mana cost as this. Born Upon a Wind and Dress Down, a couple of cards that are really darn good. Now, why do I say this card is so good? Because I've lost so many games to True Name Nemesis. Oh, there's a card I just can't deal with, right? Well, Dress Down does that. Dress Down lets you kill the True Name Nemesis. Yes, True Name Brody. Hey, what's cracking, boys? Nice on it again. Nice to see you. Pumping up the likes, pumping up the channel. Twiddlers in the house. Glad you can make it. You can use that in the Watcher and the Water deck. It's wild. Magus dresses down for an easy mooning. Right? Magus getting his moon out this morning. Well, we got Magie Salamoon, Magie Salatabernac, and this card, Dress Down. Dress Down's really good. I watched a really great interaction with this when I was over in Calgary playing some Magic the Gathering at Phoenix Games. Fellow was swinging with the True Name Nemesis, and then at the end of the combat step, he got dressed. Oh no, before the end step, before the combat damage, I think. Can't remember what phase it was in. But the Dress Down, I was like, oh, that Dress Down is such a good card, especially against something like True Name, because that's the one name target opponent, and then you get a protection from them, and then you're just screwed. You can't block it, you can't target it, you can't do much of anything. So Dress Down at $1.50 in November has only slowly been climbing up since the Fury Beanstalk ban. Today's Dress Down sits at $2. Why, you may ask? Well, there's a small resurgence in Dress Down's popularity. People like to play Shadow Tide builds, finding their way back into the format. Grixis and Demir Shadow Tide don't want a main board dressed out per se, but love it in the sideboard. Dress Down, 1 blue and 1. An enchant with flash. I like the fact that it replaces itself. Born Upon a Wind, also a really good card. If we're gonna look at Dress Down, we gotta look at Born Upon a Wind. Look at this one here. Same thing. 1 blue and 1 for this card. You can play spells this turn as though they have flash, and it draws a card. So there's 2 mana, 1 turn ability. I don't know which one is better. This one's an instant, and then the Dress Down is an enchantment. At the beginning of the end step, you got to sacrifice Dress Down. I think it's got to be an enchant because because of layers, of course, layers. We need it to sit on the battlefield. If you can remove the Dress Down, then the creatures may get their abilities back. Whereas a card like Born Upon a Wind is until end of turn. Well, this card can be scary if utilized correctly. Only creatures losing all abilities at instant speed and drawing a card for 2 mana is potent, as it reverts your Death Shadow to a 13/13 with no drawbacks. Right. It also allows for more than lethal swings while simultaneously breaking down creatures on your opponent's board. I like that. It can even I wonder if it can even stifle the ETBs. Does it get your Euro into play without having to sacrifice it? And does it get, what else does it do? All right. It also allows for some more than lethal swings while simultaneously breaking down creatures on your opponent's board. Now that's that. Dress Down has very simple use in Modern with Death Shadow, but nothing beyond that. Nevertheless, Death Shadow looks like it has to have a nice spot in the deck in this format going forward. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Dress Down tick up a couple of more bucks or so. Beyond this, there's a scarcity issue too. Really? In that this has only one single Modern Horizons 2 printing and nothing else. The print run on Modern Horizons 2 is enormous, just like the fans watching the show. Enormous fan base for this card. But still, it's not like new dress downs are being opened from newer sets via the list. If you plan on digging up some of your old Death Shadow staples from your collection, pick up a few dress downs while you're at it too before they climb even further. So that's the Death Shadow. So you're going to dress down your Magus, go to the moon, or dress down your Shadow and swing for lethal. The Brothers End. All right, the Brothers War didn't make a huge splash in Modern, although this time has gone along. Some of these singles have found their way into the occasional Modern brew. It can be a Cityscape Leveler in Tron, or maybe the Phyrexian Fleshgorge or Narzos. And on these anecdotal bits and pieces, on the stands out from the best of the rest of the Brothers End. This one's an interesting card. Sorcery Speed. It's got double red pips on it. It costs 1 on top of that. And you get to choose the mode. It deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or you can destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. All right, the Brothers End, in comparison to other cards discussed today, is relatively straightforward. To blow up most of, if not all, artifacts, or blow up most of, if not all, creatures played across the format. So also deal with some damage to those nasty planewalkers like Teferi the Time Ravalier. Yes, little T. Also, always causing trouble. Letting you play at flash speed. Let's have a little sip. I'm surprised to look at this chart. It looks pretty good. I opened this and I was like, it's not so good. I'd rather play Collective Defiance. And that's the one you get to pitch to. Collective Defiance seems pretty good, but this may be a better option. Maybe I'll try and throw this in Modern. See how it goes. Brothers End, like Dress Down, has seen a small uptick in price since the last recent ban list, currently sitting at $4.50, up from $3.50. Where this uptick is coming from? Well, Murktide Rhino sideboards and to a lesser extent the Rakdos Scam deck and Indomitable Creativity. What do these decks all have in common? Well, in theory, a few of these like running the Fury. In theory, the Murktide, of course, it can do no harm and can't do it anymore because the Fury is banned. But the Brothers End doesn't scratch the Fury itch. It provides some utility in terms of mass removal and an effective mana cost. Of these builds, Rhinos probably has the most effective use for the card, given its mana constraints and the Cascade viable. Incidentally, Rhinos is also sees the most play in format since the banning, occupying a little more than 10% of the competitive field. As such, a lot of the variation in Brothers End price in recent weeks is probably coming from the Rhinos alone. So if you play Rhinos or are thinking of playing Rhinos, or you want a pet rhino, or you're asking for a rhino for your birthday, or you didn't get a rhino for Christmas, but you wish you really did, or you want to be a rhino, this would be a good card to get. Be easy time to pick it up for a couple of bucks in your sideboard, given it's an upward trending price swing potentially for play in other formats. Final thoughts from Corey Williams. He says, like most competitive formats, the sideboards are an integral piece of the format and landscape. Well, that's the thing. Like the game one matchup. The game one matchup is something that is very, 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 very important. So the game one matchup, winning the card draw or winning the coin flip and going first, if you can win game one on the draw, holy smokes, the sideboard is super important in the game. let's just imagine you're on the draw, you steal a win, right? Then it's like, all I need to do is get the one more, and then I got the set. Couple of sneezes here this morning. All right, most competitive formats, sideboards are integral, part of the landscape, whether you're fetching for artifacts or fetching for your win conditions out of your sideboard with Karn, the great creator. Just metagaming, sideboards can be the difference between Teamer Rhino sweeping every tournament or getting thwarted after a game won in a match. Matchup matrices like this one underscore the influence of sideboards that can have on keeping the meta balanced, and the win rates around 50% on average across most meta decks. As such, while it's tempting to fill your TCG player cart with your main board staples, don't sleep on your sideboard. Don't be caught sleeping on the side of the board. Sideboards possess some of the most powerful and the most played cards in the format, including Chalice of the Void, Force of Vigor, Endurance, among any others. Some great sideboard tech can make you a more competitive player, and the cards today represented just a tip of the iceberg. Coming from Corey Williams, sleepers, and in some cases, the sweepers. Sleepers and sweepers are worth the cheap pickups. Happy New Year. Happy fun reading. Thanks for Corey Williams. What an awesome article. This is a great one. Really appreciate your work here on this one, Corey. A really good read, something enjoyable. It makes sense, and it really is a good article. Appreciate that. All right, folks. Well, I want to say thanks for you tuning in here this morning. We got a couple of folks in on the chat. What do we want to do? Do we want to do some movers and some shakers? It's getting about the hour. I think that, I think we're getting down to the hour. It is. It's Thursday, right? Do you know where your deck is?
Premiumbeat.com.
If you think you're sad because it's Thursday and not Friday, well, it could be worse.
Premiumbeat.com.
Which day of the week gets the highest sales in soft drinks? Thursday. Well, it's been a good one. Little AI-generated magic cards, some stocks, some talks here this morning with you folks. A little bit of sideboard tech, a couple of articles. I like it. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We got Murray Cooper in the house, Coach's Magic, the Twiddler tuning in, Mr. DJ Long, MTG Gaming Bob, the Kraken in, Hot Dice. Oh, goodness, slice. Thanks a lot for tuning in, folks. Appreciate you for joining me here. It's been a good one. It's Thursday. We got one more day to go before we have got one more day to go before the weekend. Well, be a friend. And if you can't, bring a friend to Magic. Bring a friend to Brody's. We're always looking for new customers. Here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. You're going to hit it once or 3 times. That's the key. Join me again tomorrow. We're going to do it all again. And don't forget to be safe out there. I prefer my wizard with 3 hats.